Hey, this is Chamonix with Chamonix Films, and I am doing an Instagram critique for Everling Jewelry. The owner of Everling Jewelry is Adrienne Krager, who is actually a friend of mine and a client. And so we're gonna hop over here onto her Instagram and see what she's currently got live. So Adrienne is very particular about her jewelry photography. She always does it on a white background, and she's very microscopic perfect. And so her Instagram obviously wants to show off these close-up photos of her jewelry. Now the challenge is how she is going to incorporate a feeling of more of the lifestyle and the culture and the behind the scenes and the personality of her company and what she does. Because when you just post nothing but jewelry on white background, there's not a whole lot to say about the designer there. And she is, at the moment, you can see, posting some things. This is actually a video up here that I made for her. There's a shot of her at a client party she was working. This is her new employee. Here's someone at a wedding wearing her jewelry, probably. And then there's, clips from magazines or a little flat lay here. So there are elements that she's trying to incorporate to tell more story. But what is not working is the fact that the lifestyle photos that she includes are more disruptive. It's because everything else is close-up jewelry on white background, and then suddenly, boom, there's a very colorful picture that's filling up the whole screen or the whole square. And we're used to looking at jewelry, and suddenly there's people, and it's out of the ordinary. And so the big thing with Instagram is that we're looking for consistency, right? Consistency. Everyone's like, well, how do you do that? Well, somebody who follows your brand should be able to look away and tell you what to expect. Like, I know when I look at Everling jewelry, I'm going to see jewelry on white backgrounds, probably rings, wedding rings on white backgrounds. So then suddenly when there's a human face, you're like, why is there a face there? That's not consistent. It doesn't match. If you want to start posting pictures of like her clients, then it would need to be a regular thing. Like every other photo is jewelry, and then every other photo is her and a client or something. So that when you look away, you're like, okay, I know when I go to Everling Jewelry Instagram, I'll see product photos and client photos, right? So it's what's memorable. What is the eye seeing that the brain is registering as a pattern? Pattern, consistency, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the guide that I've made for her here in her critique and break down quickly my main suggestions. So her request is she wants a feeling of cohesiveness, so that her products and her culture of her brand can sit side by side and actually have more of that lifestyle feeling rather than her just being a list of products. So I'm suggesting alternation, to alternate colors and to alternate content and to alternate distance. So alternating colors, we're going to base everything around her product photos. So it's going to be predominantly neutral. Whites, grays, metal colors, and then incorporating elements of wood and plants, which is specifically relevant to Adrienne because I know that her studio has a lot of wood and plants. And it's also going to fit for her brand lifestyle because as a jewelry designer, she is working with metal tools and different stones and crystals and things. So it's all very neutrals, woods, browns, blah, blah, blah. Now it's up to her if she wants to make sure that the white background is always the same shade of white or whether that's going to vary as well. If it's going to be the same shade of white, that will require more editing work. If it's going to vary, it'll be easier on the editing side, but it's a little bit more hodgepodge. Now the pros and cons there, if your feed has all the same shades of white, then the benefit of that is that it's consistent and it looks very clean. The con of that, the downside, is that it can look a little bit flat and like you're looking at a product catalog instead of something that's trying to show personality. Down here is an example, I called it the white wall, where we actually left the different shades of white. So every photo has a white background, but maybe a little bit more gray, maybe a little more blue, maybe really bright, whatever. And what you're getting here is still consistency, that it's neutral and clean, but that little bit of diversity might actually be beneficial because it's helping each photo stand on its own. So that rather than them all blending together or looking like a boring catalog, it looks more like, oh, there's one ring that I like, there's another ring that I like, they're distinct. And that's important too. We want overall brand consistency, overall feed consistency, But within that, it needs to be interesting to look at all the individual pieces. Okay, moving on. So the feed can be all white, or she can bring in color. Now, if she's going to bring in color, and we know for a fact she's using plain white backgrounds, then the alternating photos would be full color. That's what I think. So it would be a white photo backdrop of a ring, and the next one would be like a picture of her studio, so that the entire photo is full of texture, wood, color, something, and the next one is all white, and the next one after that has the color and the texture. That way it looks like a checkerboard, and it means the product photos are really going to pop off the screen, and then the color photos will kind of suck you in. So this is this back and forth element of look at my product and then come get to know me. Back and forth, back and forth. It's a rule of opposites. It's all about the rule of opposites at all times. Photos go side by side, need to be opposite to each other so that they each really stand out on their own and complement each other. Furthermore, on that note, if you put two photos side by side that are similar and not opposites, then it almost begs the question, why are you posting two photos? They're so similar. Even if they are different, you want them to be as different as possible. And then alternating distance. It's kind of on the same wavelength. If you're going to have a close-up photo of a ring, then the next photo needs to either be something else, or the ring, or a different piece of jewelry, but it needs to be far away. So it would be a ring close up to the camera, and then maybe a ring on a table as a flat lay, or a ring close up and then her workbench, so you can see where she works. Now, you can forget about her rings for a second. If you can apply this rule to any situation. So it could be a wide off shot of her workbench. You can see all the tools. And then the next photo would be a close up of one tool. And then the next photo is wide back again, so you can see the whole room, and then the next one brings you back in. It's the same thing of when you're zoomed out, you're like, hey, look where we are, this is the environment. And then we zoom in, and you're like, now I want you to focus on this. Okay, and so it's like a teaching style. You learn the overall, and then you dive deeper, and this is what you're doing. You're teaching people about your brand, and what you do, and why they're gonna like you. And it's kind of similar, too, to how we get to know people. And this is all about people, just getting to know the brand owner. You see a photo of a jewelry studio, you're like, oh, a jeweler, cool. But it's not until we zoom in and see the little details and the teacups and the decorations she puts on her shelf and the books on her bookshelf that you start to actually get to know the jeweler. So, rule of opposites, show far, show close up. Okay, let's look down here. There's 4 mock-up feeds that I made. The first one is an almost but not quite, where we're kind of going with the neutrals and the greens and the woods, and having a photo that's far away followed by a photo that's close up, but it's not really working because the consistency is not there all the time. Like, it's different shades and different colors, and sometimes it's wood and sometimes it's paper and sometimes it's pink, and then there's a workbench, and then there's like a magazine and scissors. And okay, I know the scissors aren't really a good fit because she's a jeweler, but I was trying to imply that they'd be tools. So when you look at this feed, you're not really sure what to expect. You're like, I'm gonna log on, and yesterday I saw rings, today I might see a workbench, or maybe I'll see tools or more rings or colors, or it's a little chaotic because we don't have a pattern. And so then in this next one, we already looked at this one, this is all white, so you know you're going to see rings and jewelry, and it's going to be on white. So then the thing you're going to go see, you're like, I want to go see more jewelry. Note that we're alternating white metal, gold metal, white metal, gold metal, white, gold, white, whoops, that's okay, gold, white, I messed it up on here, but you get the point. It needs to be white and gold alternating so that, again, they all pop off individually. Okay, moving on to the next one. We're keeping this third feed focused on jewelry. We're not really showing workspace or anything, but we are incorporating little elements and accents that help give you a feeling. So it's a ring or a necklace on a piece of wood or on a leaf or on some fabric. And all those things are very texture, very tangible. They make you feel something, right? The jewelry that's on a sheepskin rug feels cozy compared to the one that's on gray marble. 2 very different styles of jeweler and wearer. I know I'm personally more attracted to jewelry when it's laying on wood. Same piece of jewelry could be on a piece of marble and I'm suddenly like not interested anymore. So you're helping to distinguish your clients and show off your own style by which elements you choose to incorporate. Now that feed is all focused on jewelry, but we're starting to tell a story with the textures. Okay, then the fourth and final mock-up is wider distance shots where you're actually showing the environment, the workspace, the bench, Adrienne at work, hands wearing jewelry. And I really like this kind of alternating because it's so dramatic that it really gives that thing I've been talking about this whole time of far away, zoom in, far away, zoom in. And then also note how in this final example, not only are we alternating the distance and the content of what we're showing, but also the color. So the products are all white, but every lifestyle shot is kind of full color or some different shade of white. This top corner is probably the worst example. It might be stronger if I were to include another photo that was color all the way to the edges. But I wanted to demonstrate how it's still demonstrating lifestyle. Cool. So the goal here for Adrienne was I want to have more of a brand feeling rather than just like the list of products. And when I do post something that's lifestyle, I want it to fit in and be cohesive. So this is my main tips. Look for color palette and experiment with alternating the color, the distance, and the content that you're showing off. And this is definitely something that if you're doing your own photography, you can control, learn to do that. And if you're working with a photographer, like Adrienne's working with me, we'd be on the same page. So I would know we want to make sure all of your photos that I take of you at work or of you in your studio, like the wide shots, the lifestyle shots, are going to match the theme. So in this example, this last fourth mock-up, all of these are kind of dark looking, so it's dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. But if I knew she wanted the whole feed to be white, then I would make sure that I took photos and edited them in a way that were lighter. So I could still have a photo of her working at her bench, but it would be lighter. Or I can edit it darker. I can control that as the photographer. So it's all about deciding the goal, and then we make the photos work around it from there. Cool. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, hello@chamonixfilms.com. And if you would like your very own Instagram critique, I do sell them. You go to my website and it's $150. You get this video as well as all the mock-ups and the explanations, and you can ask me any questions that you want. All right, have a great day and thanks for watching. Good luck, Adrienne. Hope it helps.